From Central Indiana's #1 news source, this is Fox 59 Tonight.
Good evening. Welcome to another edition of Fox 59 Tonight. I'm Cameron Riddle. Thank you for downloading our new smart TV app on your Roku, Fire TV, Amazon TV. I guess that is a Fire TV, right? Roku, Amazon, Samsung, Apple. Yes, there we are. That's everybody. Make sure you hit the subscribe button if you're watching on YouTube as well. We talk about everything on this show, everything from what's happening at the White House to your house. And on this show, we're going to go back to what's happening at your house. We're going to talk about more conversations about fatherhood. The dad difference is something that you're going to hear about from a couple of guys who we got to know last month. They are back to continue the conversation about about fatherhood, the importance of dads in education, and more. To talk more about what is coming up and how you can also be part of that conversation, Keelan Mark, Senior Principal, Speaker and Father, and brother Thomas X. Williams, Speaker, Author, and Father, both are back here in the studio. How you doing, gentlemen?
Doing great.
Doing well. Thanks for having us, brother.
Absolutely. Glad to have you guys back. We had a good conversation when you were here last month. You were getting ready to do an event talking about dads and education. Tell us how that went, and then tell us about what's coming up for the month of October.
Yes, sir.
You go ahead, brother.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the event was well. Well, first of all, brother, thank you for having us here again.
Yes, sir.
This is definitely a visit that we don't take lightly, and greatly appreciate you welcoming us with open arms.
Absolutely.
To the event. The event went really well. The event's purpose was to begin the process of engaging, inspiring, and encouraging fathers to be more active in the academic pursuits of our children. You know, whether those children are male or female, we just want fathers to be more active, right? Because oftentimes when schools are reaching out to parents as it relates to any information that needs to be provided, whether the information is in regards to grades, is in regards to behavior, usually the mother is reached out to.
Mm-hmm.
However, as fathers, we just need to help mom lighten the load,
Mm-hmm.
right? Mom is always engaged, and we just think as fathers, it will help transform some of the ills that we see in society starting educationally, right? So I think I mentioned it last time, there's a philosopher, I think his name is Franz Anatola. He had a really good quote that I quoted, and the quote says that 10% of education is curriculum, while 90% is encouragement. Did you hear me?
Mm-hmm.
10% curriculum,
Mm-hmm.
90% encouragement.
Mm-hmm.
And studies show that anytime a father or male figure is present in the educational journey of a child, that child begins to perform at a rate that supersedes that of a mediocre performance. So just fathers being present itself give children a level of confidence that helps them master the curriculum that's put in front of them. So,
Principal Keelan,
Yes, sir.
how much of that translates to success in the classroom?
It translates a lot. You think about, the saying, it takes a village
Mm-hmm.
to raise a child. And I think about, Cameron, who's in that village, when it comes to education. So we have, the administrators, the teachers, the counselors at the school, and we have, like we, say, mom supporting and part of that village. But I think it's now time that schools be more intentional of including dad and creating opportunities for dad to be part of that village, because fathers want their kids to be successful at whatever they do,
Mm-hmm.
and they want to feel good about themselves. Like, I can really support my son or daughter.
Mm-hmm.
They just need the open door and the tools and strategies to do so. And I've seen as a principal in a number of occasions where I pulled a dad in and it changed that student's academic life. It changed that student's how they saw themselves in school. And so that dad difference, and the online series that we're doing, we want dads to really see what that difference looks like when they get engaged and get involved.
So here's the flyer of the event coming up, online events for dads. So I know last time was in person.
Yes.
This time it's online, so everybody can make it to this.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
And will there be and so it's a live Zoom event, meaning you can ask questions back and forth with some engagement and interaction. October 15th, you'll be talking about why your presence at school changes the game. Let's start there. When you say presence at school, what are we talking about? Are we talking about dad volunteering in the classroom? Are we talking about dad just dropping the kids off? Are we talking about dad showing up to the parent-teacher conference? What is presence at school?
So, Brother Cameron, usually on a test, you're given 4 answers. You have A, B, C, D is usually what? All the above. The answer to your question is D, all of the above. So when fathers, I'll use myself for example. I'm a father who usually drops his children off every day at school. I'm usually picking my children up every day at school. If they have some type of program, whether it's parent-teacher conference, whether it's a, what do you call it? One of these assemblies where they invite parents and families. Myself and my wife are usually there. And whenever a father is present, percentage-wise, I'm going to say 100% of the time, children are approached differently because that faculty member knows that a male's presence is attached to that son or that daughter whom they're approaching. And so when a father is present, every father doesn't have the quote unquote time to volunteer. But yet every father has an opportunity to just take themselves into the building. Whether it just be to say hi to the person at the front desk, whether it just be to introduce ourselves to the educator that's in charge of educating our children, whether it be to just meet the principal, meet the counselor, meet the dean, not to have full-fledged conversation if we don't have that time, but just meeting them, that in itself opens the door to build a relationship throughout the school year, and that in itself has the ability to change the game for our children throughout the school year.
And Cameron, that's what dads do when their kids are in sports. They know the coach, they know the assistant coach, they know, the athletic director and other people connected to that particular sport. And so that presence, they know how to do it. It's just translating it, and we'll share strategies of what that looks like, whether it's as simple as dropping your kid off and picking them up, or it's going further and saying, hey, I've got my student's report card. The first quarter of the year is done. Let me just make an appointment with the teacher to see how I can get my son or daughter from a B to an A, or let me make an appointment with the principal or assistant principal to talk about, hey, my kid is a solid 3.5, 3.7 student. How can I challenge him or her more? And those are the conversations as a school principal I love to have. It just doesn't happen too often. And so we want to share strategies with dads, with schools, even school administrators who may log on to talk about how do we create those opportunities for those conversations.
So I remember
just an example. Mr. Keelan brought up a great point that just happened to me 2 weeks ago. So our daughter, and our daughter is very meticulous about her grades. If she has a B, Brother Cameron, she's upset.
Okay.
So she came home with a C in band. So I'm like, hold on, in band? Princess, we just asked you to play your flute just a little bit more. How we get a C? So she came home with this C. She had all A's and one C. So guess who sent the email, Brother Cameron, to this band teacher? It wasn't mom.
Mm-hmm.
Dad sending this email. And I did put a little spice on the email just to emphasize that I don't like this C. And so when the band director read the email, our daughter came home maybe a couple days later, and she was having a conversation with my wife and I, and she said, "Yeah, Mom, yeah, Dad, I think her C was a 73." She said, "Yeah, I'm up to a 77 right now, and the director had a conversation with me. He was telling me how good I played today, and just yesterday,
Mm-hmm.
she said, I'm up to an 81 now, Dad."
Mm-hmm.
But all of this came not because Mom
Mm-hmm.
had a conversation,
Mm-hmm.
but Dad had a
But
conversation.
what did Dad say?
Well, I'm unable to say what I said. But no, Dad just said that we, because I'm not just saying I,
Mm-hmm.
me and my wife are a team. However, as the leader of the team, I said we
Mm-hmm.
are very concerned about our child having these grades in other classes. However, she only has this grade in your class. She's a hard worker, and she's very dedicated to being a child who has grades that reflect the grades in her other class.
Mm-hmm.
So we want to know, what is it that she is or is not doing that has caused her to have this grade?
Mm-hmm.
And if you can please reach out as soon as possible, I would love to set up a meeting with you.
Mm-hmm.
I did use I with that.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't a threat, of course, but it's more so letting him know that, no, Dad is concerned about her academics as well.
Now, let me
And
ask
let's
you.
have a conversation as father and educator so that we can help her
Mm-hmm.
improve in the area that she's lacking.
And how
in.
soon did that grade change? Because I have a question after this.
The grade change began to change maybe 3 days later.
Because
Mm-hmm.
First of all, I was in band.
Mm-hmm.
And I know and accept that much of your band grade is on you
Yep, it is.
to practice.
Yep.
And I was in band. We'd do our thing in the class and then go home. We were supposed to do our 30 minutes or whatever. I wasn't always doing it, so I wasn't getting better. So that's on me.
Yeah.
So in that situation, how do you say, all right, now look, are you doing what you're supposed to do before I go?
That's first and foremost, bro,
Okay.
Cameron. Oh, we have to check the child first.
Mm-hmm. That's what I'm saying. Look,
Yeah, we gotta check that first.
We didn't get into that part because we have lots of parents, as you know, who like to call, you haven't talked to them all year, and why is my blah, 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 and you're lucky if the conversation is that nice.
Yeah. It's when it comes to calling administrators, by the time it gets to him, it's curse words. It's profanity.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's profanity.
Yes.
Yeah. But so we had to check her first because we seen that the flute wasn't coming home.
Mm-hmm.
We've spoken to you about playing an extra 10 minutes. Just bring it home, play for 10 minutes. But yet we also know the ambition that you possess. So with something this small, what can be considered insignificant, which is 10-minute practice, let's make the adjustment that needs to be made so we can get the result that we want to see. And so when reaching out to the band director, it was more so, now let's work together because before it even got to this, there was no email sent to me. Before it got to being a C, right? He sees her grades. You see she's all A student. So before he even got to a C, reach out to us.
Now, as a principal,
yes, sir.
Let me ask you in that situation. I'm sure most school staff, I'm sure all of your staff, because I'm sure they're all fantastic, would say, "Hey, I'm happy to help. I thank you for reaching out. I've been trying to tackle this issue." I guess I would say most of the conversations probably don't go like that. But I guess where are parents going wrong? Because Thomas X here is more involved than your average parent.
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of times you get that call and it's like, ma'am, it is October and I've never even talked to you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But how valuable is that conversation, and what changes on the teacher's end when they know that I'm not in this by myself?
That is a ideal question, and it's a great conversation, Cameron, because I think where parents go wrong and where dads go wrong is that email shows up after the semester, when the report card, the grades are done, classes are done, we're at Christmas break or at fall break, when that email should have came when dad saw the grade that second week or third week. And in that email, and listening to Brother Thomas, what I hope teachers hear and what I hear as an administrator is that, number one, these parents care about their students' grade, like I do as a teacher. Number two, like I have expectations of my students as an educator, a principal, a teacher, the parents have expectations of their student. And number three, there's now another partner that I can connect with as an educator to help this particular student. And so that one email now shows the teacher and the educator there are people that not only care about the student, but there's a standard and there are expectations that have been communicated. And growing up, we didn't have email. I wasn't around. I was early 60s, 70s, not 60s, 70s, 80s. We didn't have email, but my teachers knew that Keelan Mark cannot bring home anything less than a C. And I knew it. It was conveyed and it was understood. And fast forward to 2025, if dads can know how to communicate expectations, communicate what we're doing at home to support you at school, they're going to get those type of results, not only out of the teacher and the school, but out of their student, because I'm sure Brother Thomas' daughter knew, dad reached out and dad expects me to do better than a 73 or a 77. So I have to meet those expectations, and the teacher knows here's someone I can, touch base with, communicate with, because if in the Williams household, the expectation is a B or higher, I can't let, this young lady do less than her best.
Now, a second ago, Brother Thomas X, you said, now the teacher can see the grades the whole time. But now, thank God, back in my time, parents couldn't see the grades until the report card came home. But that's another part of that. Hey, parents, you too can look every day, log on to Skyward, whatever
Canvas,
it is, Canva, and look at what the kids are doing in real time.
In real time, we literally can check the grades weekly. And modern technology has it where we can check what assignments were due, what assignments are due in the next couple days. Right? What tests are coming up? Do they have a quiz this week? There's so much access to the classroom away from the classroom,
which I'm just so glad they didn't have in my time. But now you can sweet talk. Now look, Mom, that grade there is missing a couple things that I've turned in.
Come on,
it doesn't reflect. She sent the report cards home before that.
So, that's one of the excuses our sons used to use when they were younger. They used to say, well, they didn't put those grades in yet.
Yes.
No.
Those days are over.
It's over with.
So that's just one of the conversations. That's on October 15th. October 29th, let me show you guys the rundown. October 29th is From the Classroom to the Court, How Dads Support Their Student Athletes. Now, I would assume, I think a stereotype would even indicate that if dads don't show up anywhere else, they probably show up to the sporting
athletic event.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
What's wrong with that?
I think dads showing up in the sporting events and in the athletic world is because there's a sense of comfort. They've been welcomed, and that's where they may have their most experience is through sports and through sports with themselves as a kid, even just playing outside. And so because I'm comfortable, I'm confident, I am open to, and I feel welcomed into the gymnasium, onto the track, onto the field. And there's a mutual partnership. If I'm giving you my son, who's 6'7", 325 pounds, trust me, the coach of the football team is going to welcome him and see the value in his talent and everything he brings to the table. And the dad is going to support that. And so we understand that's a comfort zone for dads. It is for dads to understand, and we'll share strategies on you can do the same thing in the classroom where you'll have the same impact and presence within social studies class, within algebra class, where that teacher knows that you have a student that is valuable to this classroom, valuable to the school, and you're trying to show him or her, how do you manage the academics and the athletic portion of their life. And it is a heavy lift for moms. It's a heavy lift for dads when you have a student athlete. Brother Thomas and I were just talking about how he has to transport one to tennis, to dance, to basketball. And I've done that myself with my son. But it is important for dads to really strategize and map out, what is the end game for my student athlete? Is it, playing in college and playing at the next level? And then begin to strategize, okay, what supports have to be in place athletically and academically to make sure, we're on the right path. And schools can work with dads on mapping out the right strategies, making sure kids are in the right classes, making sure that, even they're working on the things they need to work on if they're trying to get to, a Big Ten school or a Big East school. And those are the conversations that need to be had between school administrators, athletic directors, teachers, and fathers need to be involved in those conversations.
What now in those conversations, there's also, again, should be, or I guess, I don't know, should there be some self-reflection, self-accountability in that, okay, well, why, parents gonna want to know, well, why is my kid on the bench? Or why is my kid not starting? Well, there's an answer for that.
There has to be self-reflection and a good enough relationship where there's also honesty, where if I'm meeting with the coach and I'm sitting down with the coach and discussing playing time, the coach has to feel comfortable enough to explain to me, why my son or daughter is not playing or participating. And then as a father, the father has to understand, okay, here's my role in this, and here's how I can support and try to get this student athlete up to speed in whatever the sport. But if there's no relationship, I'm going to sit in the stands and I'm going to do what dads do. I'm going to look, oh, my son is better than him and my daughter is faster than her. And so there has to be a relationship between the coaches and the dads and the parents, of course, but the coaches and dads, the athletic directors, the teachers, so that we all can be on the same page to help build a relationship where we can truly support that student and be honest about it. And it takes time, but all it starts or it helps when the conversation and the door is open to just talking to one another and not, the coach is standing there thinking, if I don't put KJ in, this dad is going to be mad. Dad is in the stands. My son is so much better than this kid. No, it's having a conversation. And those are the things I think that hold men back from getting involved further into the school. And those are the things that we're trying to help and just break down some of those walls.
Yeah, I was also thinking as Brother Keelan was speaking, how it becomes a community issue as well, right? And we as men are the backbone of the community. But there are just some things that have to be tweaked, Brother Cameron, in order for this to play out well. Just think of some of the same principles that go into being a great athlete are the same principles that go into being a great student. A great athlete, we would agree, is dedicated. Will we agree?
Absolutely.
A great student has to be dedicated. A great athlete is disciplined. A great student has to have what? Discipline.
Mm-hmm.
A great athlete has focus. A great student has to have what? Focus.
Mm-hmm.
A great athlete pays attention to detail. A great student have to do what? Pay attention to detail.
Mm-hmm.
So even as fathers, sometimes we can incline more to sports because we see the results celebrated
Mm-hmm.
that come along with sports. So if I'm a father and my son is averaging 20,
Mm-hmm.
8 assists, 3 steals, oh, even though I'm not touching a basketball, when I'll go around the city, just people knowing that my son may be all county, all city, oh, you the man.
Mm-hmm.
Just because your son is good in athletics.
Mm-hmm.
My son can have a 4.3 GPA.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just another brother walking into the coffee shop.
Why is that?
So we, as it relates to us as men
Mm-hmm.
in our community,
Mm-hmm.
I would, and I don't have all the answers. This is just Brother Thomas' small theory.
Mm-hmm.
This goes back to us being brutes, right? Let these men who possess physical prowess
Mm-hmm.
in any athletic field,
Mm-hmm.
let them be celebrated for their brute strength,
Mm-hmm.
their athleticism.
Mm-hmm.
However, because if we start to celebrate their intellect, now they become a real threat.
Mm-hmm.
Now we're dealing with individuals who have the ability and the capacity to transform society.
Mm-hmm.
Just think of all of our young brothers right now, Brother Cameron, who are out in the community causing ruckus
Mm-hmm.
or happen to just be a bystander
Mm-hmm.
of the ruckus that's being caused. If we taught our young brothers, Brother Cameron, how to communicate using conflict resolution, how to articulate their feelings, if instead of pulling out a weapon, I had the courage, because it takes courage,
Mm-hmm.
to tell another brother, man, let me talk to you. You hurt my feelings.
Mm-hmm.
When we grow up, that sound real soft.
Mm-hmm.
He hurt your feelings.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Well, no, what if I can articulate it in a way that still keeps my manhood
Mm-hmm.
in my manhood in order?
Mm-hmm.
Now we're dealing with young men who, if I can resolve conflict in my community, now I can be at the negotiation table with with less emotions and more logic,
Mm-hmm.
being able to negotiate certain things in between communities or negotiate business.
Mm-hmm.
But if we as males specifically are kept away from evolving and being cultivated intellectually and just sent over to the field of athletics, we become less of a threat to really improve our society, and the issues that we see just perpetuate themselves.
And I'll also add, and I'll take what you said as one of the reasons why it's not celebrated, but also just even if you just go mainstream, and I won't even take credit for this, as Greg Merriweather said, we just don't celebrate the academics the same way. You go into a high school, who's on the wall as soon as you walk in? It's all the athletes with their banners. It's not the debate team. It's not the 4.0 that we get to meet at graduation. It's just, as a society, we value sports over education.
Well, we could say as a society, but we'll specifically say as our community, right? Because I don't want to take the conversation into another direction, but I still think it all will correlate with the main subject that we're here for. However, we're living in a society that does not use God as the standard of measurement as it relates to how we can evolve as human beings.
Mm-hmm.
So when we use God in the scriptures of the Bible, anyone who's viewing this or listening to it, in the book of Psalms 82:6, this verse says, "Ye are all gods, lowercase g, children of the Most High God." Most High, the M is in capital letters and the H is in all caps. So we are a direct descendant of the creator of everything that we marvel at. So we aren't created to be an athlete. Now, we can use athletics as a pathway to evolve into our true purpose in life. However, that is not what we were created for. We were created to become the best possible version of ourselves, and that takes building our intellect. But however, if it isn't celebrated, then all we have is a bunch of mediocre individuals walking around society. And when we look at how our society is being ran, we aren't in the true positions of power that have the ability to shift society. We are functioning, in my humble opinion, in a mediocre state, regardless of what fields that we're in.
Well, I know you said you weren't trying to go in a different direction, but you didn't. You didn't.
Yes,
it leads me into the next topic that y'all talk about, because what you just did was a form of advice, and how you have those conversations, which you will in November, on November 12th, father to father advice and guidance, which is what you just went into. But how important are those conversations, and how rare? I mean, I don't know. It's not, I mean, I'm sure there's probably more and more podcasts where people are talking about fatherhood, but that's not something too often that people get around to talk about.
No, sir.
I think fathers talk at the barbershop. They talk at halftime and maybe another couple of spaces, but they don't talk or go any further than whatever the barbershop topic is, or at halftime they're discussing the game. And so
it's relative to what they're doing.
Exactly. And so, but when you get a father talking about their son or daughter, they can talk for days. And so really being intentional, during that session, and Brother Thomas and I do this a lot, and talking about with the intentions of sharing information, guidance, hey, Brother Thomas, I think you should do this. Keelan, you should do that. And sharing information, sharing guidance, and opening ourselves up to having conversations. One of the things we just discussed in general is what do you do when your kid disappoints you? And that disappointment could be, I know you studied, and I studied with you, and you got a C-. And, it hurts you because you watch your kid do everything they need to do. You support them, and it doesn't work. Or your kid, you say go right, your kid goes left, and then they get in trouble. And as a father, you have to talk to other dads about how do you deal with that disappointment.
And I think, and you just went into two totally different types of disappointment. One is like, I was here with you.
Yes.
I see that you put your all in, and you're probably disappointed, but I'm disappointed. But that is a different kind of, that's a like, dang, you're putting the effort in and you're trying, versus, okay, how are you out here just making plain old bad decisions?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes,
Two
sir.
different
And
conversations.
I shared a text message with a friend of mine last night. His son is a senior, great family, and his son is, going through the challenges of the senior year. has done sports all his life, and that first offer hasn't come in yet. And I shared with him, we dealt with that last year with our son. You know, you're all everything, and you've got all the stats, but no coach has called yet. Hey, we want you here, blessed to receive. And how do you support your kid in that moment? So I shared some strategies, shared some personal stories with him, and I could feel through his text message he felt better that I'm going in my room and talk to my son to say, hey, you know, I just talked to someone, they've been there, but now, you know, KJ is off in college playing, his season starts soon. And I just think we have to have more of those intimate conversations and share those things with one another as fathers to just help us help our kids, which is ultimately what we want to do.
Brother Thomas X, when you're giving father to father advice, first give us a preview of what that conversation would look like.
So as it relates to education, we're going over certain questions that fathers may have as it relates to building relationships with the staff and faculty at the schools that their children attend. Right? How do we break the ice between a father who had a negative experience as a student himself, who is going into the school using his closest point of reference, which is his own experience in school. But how do we take that point of reference that he's using and give the educator who's responsible for educating his child a clean slate? This is not the educator that educated you. So how can we build this relationship where this educator feels as if they're in a safe space communicating with you? Then who do you need to build relationships with first and foremost?
And I think, Keelan, I'm sure you would agree, when the parents are coming in, you're trying to, one of the first things you got to figure out, okay, is this parent coming in for me?
Yes.
Or are they against me?
Against me,
Yes.
Because especially if you don't know them, you haven't showed up to the parent-teacher conference. Like, I still got teachers asking, how's your mom?
Yes.
And they do that. Now, I know your mom, like, because they do. But that what he's talking about, how important is that, so that me as the educator or bus driver, I know that, hey, if I'm about to give you a heads up right now, because if I call your mom, you know it's not going to be good for you, because I already met him. I already met your father. It's not going to be good. How important is what he's talking about?
It's very important, and you don't have to tell your kids, your students, teacher or principal your life story. We don't need to know all that, because we have 1,000 kids, sometimes 2,000. But what you can convey is that you care about their academic life, that you care about, you want them to have a good school experience. And if you just express your expectations as a family of your kid and the expectations of the school, that's all we need, and we can take it from there. And a lot of times, if I don't have that family's expectations, I don't hear from that family, all I have to go on is what your fourth grader is telling me, or what your, eighth grader is telling me. And I don't have any relationship with the family. Everything is being filtered through your son or daughter. And so it is so important to just find that relationship can be built initially through dropping the kid off in the morning. Hey, Mr. Mark, have a good day. That relationship could be built through an email. Hey, hope first quarter went great. Just want to let you know, KJ comes home and speaks highly of you as a teacher. Keep doing what you're doing. But it has to start somehow in some way. And in the case of a dad that I don't talk with very much, I'm telling you, if I hear from a father, I'm going to be super mindful of it, because I don't hear from a lot of fathers. And I'm going to really consider, when I'm looking at that student, I'm also looking at that student's entire mother and father in that family.
Yes, sir. To add on to what my brother was stating, oftentimes when an educator or an administrator has an idea of your experience as a student, then that kind of gives them a glimpse of how you view them or the school, right? So all of it is used as an opportunity to just build a relationship. That's what we want to do. We just want to build a relationship as it relates to helping to cultivate our student into the potential student that they could be, right? That comes after the relationship is built. But we want to focus with fathers on building a relationship with the educators, but then as fathers, making our children's academics a priority, right? Why does it seem as if we're not concerned whether him or her bring a C home, as long as they passing? Why is it? What can I do as a father to instill or inspire, not instill in or inspire my child to strive to be the very best student they could be? And being the best student isn't solely just focusing on the grades. How can I master being a student who functions with integrity? How can I master being a student that is also a good leader, helping out my peer group in school? How can I be a student that is confident at advocating for myself? All of those go into being the best student, not just what shows up in the grade column, but what also shows up as it relates to being the model for the principles that we're learning at home that are being transferred into the school building.
And and I've told people this, Cameron, is interesting. There's no other scenario where you're going to give someone your child for, let's say, first grade through 12th grade. And these people are responsible for educating your child. They feed him at least once, maybe twice a day. They are responsible for the environment and the safety of your child. And you have no input in on that. And to me, it blows my mind because that isn't a real thing where parents, dads will go through a school year and never talk to anyone in the building. They just go along with, hey, my kid's coming home, they're getting good grades, not connecting with what has been taught to my kid and what environment my kid is in. You don't want to give up all of that power to your son or daughter. And as a father, I want to encourage other fathers to get involved in those decisions as to what they're learning, get involved into the school environment that they're in, because that's a lot of access you're giving up when you don't have to.
Yes, sir. And involvement does not look the same. The way that a father is involved does not look the exact same as the way a mom is involved. Right? We have two different natures. We have two different ways of communicating. The average man that you walk up to on the street does not communicate the exact same as the average woman that we walk up to on the street. We have two totally different natures. So as a father, my involvement may specifically and primarily be more of the encouraging side. Mom, her involvement may be more of the nurturing side. So now if I as dad can encourage, can help inspire my child, and mom can cultivate to the degree where the child now after dad instilled that confidence, now mom can cultivate intellectually as well, so that the child can begin to really be concerned with the ins and outs of the curriculum. That's a balance. And now if we're working in harmony, the child not only is confident, the child is paying attention to detail with the curriculum, using the same principles that we say an athlete has to use to be a good athlete. That child is using those same principles, male or female. to become a great student.
Mhm.
You also, once again, kind of segued into the next topic, which is on December 3rd, Father's Playbook, turning presence into a lasting impact.
Yes,
Mhm.
sir.
So it's not just about the one time fixing the one problem,
Mhm.
but again, as you mentioned, you're in school K through 12. It's a long
Come on.
time.
Right.
Long time.
Right. At that point, at December 3rd, the first semester is almost over for most schools.
Mhm.
You have a couple of weeks till, Christmas break. And now you have 3.5 months of data to prepare for the second semester. And so during that session, we're going to share strategies on now how do you plan out the second semester for your son or daughter? How do you move them academically? How do you move them socially? Who do you need to speak with? And then how do you set up an environment at home to build on and build from whatever happened that first semester? So if your student, may have had some attendance issues and, they've missed some days first semester, now you have that data going into January. Here's what we need to do. And so we want to share during that time with fathers just about 5 to 7 strategies, whether it's academics, athletics, socially, and for that second semester, because in schools, first semester looks way different than
Mhm.
second
indeed.
semester, regardless of the grade. And so, how do you prep for state mandated testing? If you're a second semester of a senior, it's going to look way different because now
Mhm.
you're approaching the finish line. And so we want to share strategies within that playbook for men to understand, okay, now I have to shift because my eighth grader is one semester away from becoming a high school student. And what does that look like? And what do I need to be mindful of?
As you try to make that uh, lasting impact, well, actually, I'm going to save that question because we're just about out of time. The overall goal is to get dads involved. I wanted to talk to you guys real quick about the last event that you had,
Mhm.
which was back in August. Was that August?
Yep,
Yes,
it was
August.
last day,
Um,
August
time is
31st.
flying.
Mm-hmm.
How did that event go?
Mm-hmm. I think it went outstanding. And I say that because you don't judge everything by the number of people that attend. And it was a small group of men that attended the
Mhm.
event, but I judge it by the dialogue, the conversation, the reaction that we received from the men during, before, and after from our session at the AMP. And so it was a great event because there were men that left, and one of them shared with Brother Thomas. I went home the next day and contacted my students' teachers.
Mhm.
And that alone is going to set not only the dad up for some success in supporting their kid, but also set up that student who knows, hey, my father really cares about my grades and academics. And so we really appreciated the dads that came out to not just be informed, but I need to know, how do I engage? And that's ultimately, what we've been sharing and talking with people. Had an opportunity to talk with the school district this morning about our program and about how, we have to find ways to pull dads in, and what does the father's engagement looks like. And so it was just a great opportunity for us to share that further. But I just think it was a great event.
Yeah, I would agree. As as Brother Keelan said, we don't necessarily judge solely off the number of attendees. My teacher says that you teach one like you're teaching 1,000. And so, based on the conversation that was had immediately after the event was over, and one of the attendees after the event said, "Nah, this is more than an event.
Mhm.
This is a movement." Because fathers have been feeling so left out.
Mhm.
So oftentimes people just think we don't care.
Mhm.
However, if a man is busy striving to be productive, right? We're not saying everybody is productive, but if we're striving to be productive, it may take someone intentionally getting that individual's attention to
Mhm.
get them to focus on another area of life.
Mhm.
So if I'm busy working and my mind is on working and striving to keep things together for my family, striving to make sure that the bills are paid, striving to make sure that I'm a good representative, right? I'm in a society where I'm fighting every day, striving to keep my sanity.
Mhm.
It may take someone to pull my coattail and say, "Well, look, my brother, your daughter, your son, they're doing pretty good in
Mhm.
school."
Mhm.
So that's all we were there to do, to
Mhm.
be someone's coattail. And based on the conversation that we had, the gentleman stated that no, this wasn't just a meeting. This is a movement. That's how overwhelmed he was. That's how taken aback he was by not only the information that he was given, but also based on the conviction that comes from our experience. And then, as Brother Keelan stated, there was a brother that called me the next day. No, that Monday, because
Mhm.
the event was on a Friday. He
Mhm.
called me that Monday evening. He said, "Man, this morning I went into school and introduced myself to my son's psychology teacher."
Mhm.
I said, "Okay, as long as it wasn't a PE teacher, we good." But so that's what made the event really a success for us. More
Well,
so the dialogue and the impact that goes along with the tools that we're providing.
well, I know that'll continue. You'll try. I say try to
Yeah,
have
yeah,
30-minute conversations,
yeah,
but I have a feeling they're going to go over a little bit.
It usually does.
But this is an online event for Dad, October 15th, the 29th, November 12th, December 3rd. You can RSVP KeelanMark.com. It's right there on your screen. This is a live Zoom event hosted by these two gentlemen who are going to dive deep into some dialogue. And this event is free, right?
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
free event. And my hope, you go to KeelanMark.com. There's a big red register here button. You sign on, you share the link. I encourage school principals, take the flyers, share the link, provide this as a resource for your dads to support your school. And it's free, it's 30 minutes. We respect your time, we
Mhm.
respect our
Mhm.
time, and we're going to have a powerful, packed 30 minutes beginning next week.
All right, gentlemen, thank you for coming back to have a conversation.
Yes, sir.
We should find some time in October to also have this conversation on the radio
Yes, sir.
and get some more people to jump on this Zoom call.
Yes, sir.
All right, we're going to schedule that show, by the way, every Sunday, 8 a.m. on 106.7 WTLC and Hot 100.9. That's Open Lines. This has been Fox 59 tonight. I'm Cameron Riddle. Thank you for watching. We'll see you on another night at 8 o'clock.